Hello, today we're going to cut to the chase and start with our demo and then do intros later. This is Boberdoo's solution for the FCC's one-to-one consent rule. We're going to start off with a non-exclusive example. This is our form widget in a home services lead category. So all that's required on the ping for home services leads is the project and the zip code. So we're going to start off, we're going to fill out a project that we've mapped to a non-exclusive set of buyers. So we're going to enter the project and the zip code. And now that we've sent out the ping, and we will check both internal buyers and external buyers via API, and when we will then return those potential matching buyers, or under the FCC's terms, we call those sellers. And so now the consumer will fill in their contact information, and they can select which sellers they would like to be contacted by. We've got a little extra flair in there with our list of companies or the list of sellers. We've put in some taglines, potentially trackable phone numbers that a lead seller could also sell phone calls off of, and clicks that could be also sold. If you wanted to strip that stuff out, it would essentially just be the company name and then the button to select which company or companies they would like to be matched with. So you go through, you select one, you select them all. It's totally up to you. We do have options on the back end for selecting all, or even pre-checking if you want to go the risky route. And then here, the thank you page. At this point, we've already posted the lead to them, and the consumer has been matched up with these companies who are going to then be calling them. All right, so now we're going to go through an exclusive situation. Same thing, home services, two-step lead form. The exclusive flow, it's just slightly different. That's why we wanted to show you. Instead of giving select boxes for picking your sellers, we have the ability of embedding the seller name directly into the TCPA terms. So the consumer is having to agree to be contacted specifically by that seller, which I think does cover, in our opinion anyway, the FCC requirement of the one-to-one and the consumer picking who they want to be contacted by. All right, so that's the broad overview of how the form builder works. We're going to get into some details now. My name is Brad Seiler. I'm the owner of boberdoo.com. Today I've got with me Taylor and Scott, who are going to be guiding you through the next steps and kind of showing you on the back end how this whole thing works.
So as many of you know, the FCC deadline is January 27th, which is coming up fast. We currently have some clients with our own proprietary systems that are utilizing Boberdoo's dynamic consent form builder to A/B test and save development resources. Even though the ruling is not in effect yet, we encourage everyone to start using one-to-one consent as soon as possible. Depending on the calling cadence for your buyers, you will need to have that one-to-one consent implemented before the deadline to have the proper proof of consent if you are calling them past the deadline. And to talk more about our form builder, here's Scott.
Hi, today we're going to take a look at three solutions that Boberdoo offers to address one-to-one consent. The first that we'll be digging into more detail is the form builder, allowing you to build and control forms in the lead system and push that to any web property that you own. The dynamic consent APIs, which give you maximum flexibility in controlling the lead flow and submitting that information to the system when appropriate. And then also we do have clients that have gone the route of converting to selling clicks. They don't want to deal with the one-to-one consent. And in Boberdoo, just like selling leads, data leads, or calls, you can also sell clicks. So we'll go next into the form builder to dig into those details. So as we dig into the form builder, you'll be able to build and manage multiple forms per lead type. So that gives you the ability to scale your marketing across multiple landing pages. And you will be able to build both standard forms, which would be your current flow, as well as dynamic consent. If we look into the setup of a dynamic consent form, you can set default sources and landing pages. Both can be overridden in the URL. You can customize the CSS to the look and feel of your landing pages. You also have a CSS builder in the system itself to build your own or use an external CSS URL. The website code then can be placed on any web property that you own. When we look at the advanced settings, you can tie that submit button to whatever the TCPA terms are. We do have options for select all and pre-select. Both of those we would advise you use with caution and confirm with your in-house legal team. We have the TCPA text then for an exclusive match. With an exclusive match, you can utilize the magic strings and eliminate the need for an additional checkbox. Versus a non-exclusive match, which is going to have slightly different TCPA text because you then are presenting the consumer with multiple sellers and allowing them to determine which are going to get their information. And then finally, we do have an option for if there are no matches on the ping. Depending on what your flow is there, you can then customize your TCPA text for the next steps for that consumer. Similarly to the TCPA text, there are also dynamic thank you pages. So you have thank you pages that are based on if the lead matches and sells in the system versus if there are no matches. So you can display company information of the matched partner. That was what we showed at the beginning. You can also just display text or redirect that consumer to another URL. In some cases, this may be a sophisticated thank you page that you build. However, if there are no matches, you can also display text or hopefully have an opportunity to monetize that lead or that click somehow by redirecting them, and you can use pre-pop fields so that any information that you've collected so far can be passed along in the click. Now, similarly, if there are no matches on the thank you page, which would be the case of a post reject, for example, if there are no matches on the ping, you can then either continue and collect that lead or redirect that lead to a click offer. With the landing page builder, we have pre-integrated with Journia script and Trusted Forms script. So you simply either have to enter your account credentials or for Trusted Forms, simply enable it. That will then capture and create the certificate that will be associated with the resulting lead. You can also plug GTM IDs into the form so that all of your Google Analytics will automatically be tracked. And we do have the ability to put in custom scripts on the form builder as well on the back end if needed. You can also configure the fields that you can match the tone of the questions with your landing page as well. For example, if you wanted the question to be what is your first name and on the form, you can set it as such. You can also hide fields. So for example, Boberdoo automatically populates the city and state with a valid zip. So you can save yourself valuable real estate on your form by hiding city and state, having them automatically populated when that zip code is entered. Similarly, if we look at matching fields in the case of home improvement project, if you are driving that consumer to from a roofing Google campaign to a roofing landing page, you can default that option and hide it so that that is automatically passed with the lead and the consumer does not need to be presented with that question. Lastly, you can control the layout of each form that you build in the lead system. There are drag and drop opportunities for order or side-by-side fields, but the important thing is you have flexibility in building out your form, whether it's 2 pages, 3 pages, 5 pages. You can control when that ping is submitted and make sure that you are collecting any of those filtered or ping fields that you need in order to get a match before the ping is submitted into the system. There are also then more aesthetic options for field labeling or progress bars or titles. Again, this would be dependent upon the lead type. So this is home improvement. If we hop over to Medicare as a lead type, you can see there are different fields that would be asked of the consumer before that ping is submitted. And again, whether it's 2 pages, 3 pages, your form can be built out to the flow that you want for the consumer. Boberdoo also has responding API that are available to work with the same process that we just looked at in the form builder. So if you have your own form, you can use the ping post consent API, and then that again is dependent upon the matches of that ping into the system. So if it is an exclusive bid that is returned, because that is the best revenue scenario, versus if multiple bids are returned. And as we look into the details of this, we see the bid ID that is associated with the end seller that is going to be returned to the consumer, whether or not that is a seller that has a direct relationship in your lead system, or if that is a seller that is returned through a reseller that you're working with. The lead system gives you the ability to capture all of those responses, build your best revenue scenario to present to the consumer, and then allowing them maximum flexibility in determining which of those end sellers are going to receive their information.